Hello everyone, this is Will Taylor with the Reserve Team of the Homes Finder Realty Group, and today we're going to be taking a look at the July 2023 real estate market report in Cypress Ridge. There's some great news on inflation. Inventory is still low and mortgage rates are still high, but let's go ahead and take a look at all of that and how it applies to Cypress Ridge. So first up is the monthly inventory. This has been low, this continues to remain low. This is for all of Bluffton. We have about 4 months. Once we get more homes in Bluffton, this should change, but it takes a while to build homes. Moving on to mortgage rates, these continue to remain high. Throughout July, we were at 6.81, 6.96, 6.78, 6.81%. So this near 7% mortgage rate is having a big impact on buyers and their buying power. And on the flip side, this is having some impact on sellers as well, which we'll talk about in just a second. A lot of sellers have a mortgage rate sub 3% and they don't want to change that out for something that's close to 7%. Moving on to inflation through the lens of the Consumer Price Index. The last 3 months have been the smallest increase for each month in the last 12 months, if that makes sense. So what is keeping inflation up? Out of all the things, it's housing. Because there is such a little amount of housing supply, the prices continue to remain high. Housing accounted for 70% of the increase in inflation for June. So the outlook that I kind of have here is that we're going to have more of the same. As mortgage rates stay high and the housing supply stays low, we're going to continue to see these high prices in homes. There are different pockets in Bluffton, such as Margaritaville, which is technically Hardyville, that are experiencing a lot of changes, but we'll talk about that in just a second. But again, expect more of the same unless inflation begins to drastically drop. And then at that point, the Fed is going to need, a few more months just to confirm that trend before they make any movement on the rates there to lower them. So let's talk about the sellers and what they're going through now. According to a survey done by Realtor.com in February 2023, 75% of sellers feel locked into their current home because their mortgage rate is so low. If their rate is 2.5%, 3%, to them it doesn't make sense to switch that out for a 6.5%, 7% mortgage rate. It's going to vastly increase their monthly payment, and if their wage hasn't adjusted for that, they're just not going to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how all of that applies to Cypress Ridge using data from the MLS. So here, the last 4 months, we've had 10 new listings per month. And then now in July, in the middle of summer, we've dropped by 2. This is typically when the housing market picks up. But what we're seeing is that we've actually lost 2 listings this last month. All right, let's move on to the days on market on average. Same story here. There's not a lot of homes. They are going quick. In July, 13 days was the average that a home was on the market, so less than 2 weeks. Now let's talk about the closed price to original price ratio. This has gone down, but keep in mind we're still over 98%. So essentially whatever you're seeing the list price for is essentially what you're going to pay as a buyer. It is important as a seller to make sure that you are right in that pocket and you can essentially get your asking price quickly. What is interesting about this data, we'll take a look at that in just a second, is that it's actually the lower priced homes that are driving this down from the 100%. So let's talk about days on market split out by price. And what's interesting here is that the lower priced homes are taking a little bit longer to sell than the middle priced homes. And then what you would expect is what we see here, the higher priced homes take a little bit longer to sell. But we'll see this in the next slide as well. These lower priced homes are acting just a little funny. So looking at the closed price to original price ratio split out by price, the lower price homes in the last 3 months have sold at 96.9% of their original price, where everything else is up over 98%. Something to keep in mind here, that $350,000 to $400,000 price range is about the lowest price that you can pay in Cypress Ridge for a single family home. So you have a different buyer pool there that may not have the 20% to bring cash to close, and I think we're seeing that in the data here is those lower priced homes are having a little bit more difficulty selling because the buyer pool is having a little bit more difficulty being able to buy the home. So let's move on to what sold in July. We had a lot of homes actually close, 12. And the interesting thing to note here is that 3 of those homes sold over asking price. And that's why it's so interesting to see that original price ratio go down this past month, is because we are still seeing over asking price sales. My listing here at 318 Corn Mill Way sold in only 2 days over asking price for cash. That is still a thing that happens. So be on the lookout if you're a seller, that could still happen. Now, what is available as of August 4th? There's only 4 homes. So if you remember a handful of slides back, 8 new listings in the month of July, but there are only 4 that are available as of today. One note here, one house has been on the market for 120 days. This would be a great investment property, and if you're interested in knowing more about it, please reach out. It's not my listing, but I can definitely help you buy the home if you are interested. So my final thoughts here. Locally, there is a shortage of inventory that largely drives the seller's market that we're still in. Nationally, inflation has slowed for the last 3 months, and this creates the potential for lower mortgage rates. It doesn't guarantee it, but it creates the potential for it as long as the trend continues. If this trend continues, hopefully we should see the mortgage rates go down, but that will have an impact on home prices and will most likely cause them to go up. So buyers, if I was acting as a buyer's agent right now, I'm going to say the resale market is competitive, but the new construction market, for some reason, there's a lot more incentives on the table. So that's where I'm going to bring you first. There are a lot of great communities in the area. 2 examples are the Retreat at East Argent and Jamestown Estates, which is new, that's in Hardyville, only 41 lots there. Those are both D.R. Horton communities, and they are offering incentives to buyers to buy there. Now, if you're a seller, I'm gonna say, why don't you consider the long-term, is the house that you have, is that gonna serve you and the people that live there in the long term, or should you upgrade now? Should rates fall, home prices will go up, so it's gonna be more expensive for you in the future to upgrade. If you're interested in golf or you want a community with a gate, there are a couple great options here with Hampton Lake and Island West. Now, if you're 55 plus, there's some big news. The Margaritaville market is kind of in a frenzy. I'm going to be doing a video on that specific community in the future. The big news is that the build time has dropped from 2 or 3 years to 8 months, and it's kind of thrown the resale market in a frenzy. So I'll be posting that and doing a full upgrade there. If you want some information, don't be afraid to reach out. That's everything that I have for today. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next month.